courtroom was packed with nervous faces, the kind you see when everyone knows something big is about to happen. Porters lined the back wall, pencils ready, waiting to capture what many were already calling one of the most shocking betrayals in reality TV history. The plaintiff's table sat Janelle Brown. Her hands were folded neatly, her posture calm, but anyone paying close attention could sense the storm beneath the surface. Years of hurt, frustration, and broken promises had brought her here. This wasn't just about money or legal terms. It was about finally being heard. Beside her, Meri Brown sat stiff and silent, lips pressed together, her presence steady and supportive. Across the aisle, the mood was very different. Kody Brown no longer wore the swagger viewers were used to seeing. His fingers tapped the desk in front of him, a nervous rhythm betraying his anxiety. Next to him, Robyn sat with a tissue in hand, dabbing at her eyes in a familiar show of fragility. But this time, the room wasn't buying it. Not anymore. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s with reading glasses perched low on her nose, brought the courtroom to order with a sharp bang of the gavel. The murmurs stopped instantly. She flipped through a thick stack of papers, then looked up. "You may continue your testimony, Mrs. Brown." Janelle stood and took a deep breath. The weight of years pressed down on her shoulders, but she didn't waver. Her voice was calm, steady, and firm as she faced the judge. "Kody and Robyn led us all to believe they were acting in everyone's best interests," she began. "They handled the family finances, and over time, they destroyed the trust that held us together. Today, we're presenting evidence that shows they didn't just lie to us, they lied to this court." A quiet ripple moved through the room. Kody shifted in his seat, suddenly aware that the people who once saw him as the leader of a united family were now watching him with doubt, disappointment, and judgment. Janelle grew more confident as she continued, looking straight at him. "We were promised that everything would be divided equally. That promise was the foundation of our family. We built our lives around it." She gestured toward the stack of documents in front of her attorney. But that promise wasn't kept. Her voice tightened just slightly as she spoke the truth aloud. "While the rest of us struggled to get by, Kody and Robyn were using family money to build a comfortable life for themselves." Meri leaned closer, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "We trusted you," Janelle said, her tone firm but controlled. "You told us sacrifices had to be made. You said what we were doing wasn't enough. But the reality is, you were moving family money into your own account, using it to buy a house for Robyn, funding a lifestyle the rest of us never saw." Robyn's grip tightened around the tissue, her breathing slow and shallow. Kody straightened, his jaw clenched. "That's not true," he snapped, his voice tight with panic. Before he could say more, Janelle's attorney, a sharp-eyed woman in a navy suit, stood and walked to the judge's bench. She placed a folder down carefully. "These are the financial records, Your Honor," she said. "They show clear transfers of family funds into an account controlled solely by Kody and Robyn Brown." The judge opened the folder and began reviewing the pages. The room fell silent, save for the soft rustle of paper. Kody's face drained of color as he glanced at Robyn, who now sat frozen, barely breathing. Finally, the judge looked up. "Mr. Brown," she said calmly, "can you explain this?" Kody shifted in his chair, clearly uncomfortable. He licked his lips and stammered as he tried to explain himself. "This is a misunderstanding," he said. "The decisions I made were for the good of the family. There were things that needed to be handled, and I—" Before he could finish, Meri's chair scraped loudly across the floor as she stood up. "No," she cut in sharply, her voice controlled but burning with anger. "No, Kody. This wasn't for the family. This was for you and Robyn, while the rest of us were left hanging." The room went dead quiet as Meri continued. "The money you took from all of us went to building a life with her." Kody opened his mouth, then stopped himself. His hands clenched on the table, his knuckles turning white. When Meri spoke again, her voice trembled, not with weakness but emotion. "Do you remember telling me I didn't have enough money to buy my own house?" You warned all of us to watch our spending. You told us sacrifices had to be made for the greater good. She let out a bitter, almost disbelieving laugh. And all that time you were lying. Robyn was living in an entirely different world. Robyn finally spoke, but her voice shook. That's not fair. You're trying to make it sound like we stole from you. Janelle snapped her head toward Robyn, her eyes blazing. You did steal from us, she said flatly. Both of you did. Whispers broke out across the courtroom, but the judge raised her hand, silencing the room at once. Order, she said firmly, then turned to Janelle's attorney. Please proceed. The attorney nodded and lifted another document. Mr. Brown is also on record stating that he prioritized Mrs. Brown above his other marriages, she said. He justified these financial transfers by saying, quote, Robyn's needs come first. Meri closed her eyes for a brief moment. She'd always suspected it, but hearing it out loud felt like a punch to the chest. The judge studied Kody carefully. Do you deny making this statement, Mr. Brown? Kody inhaled slowly, scanning the room as though searching for a way out. For years, he'd managed to talk his way around difficult moments. But this time, there was nowhere to run. He leaned back in his chair and said nothing. The silence was heavy and uncomfortable. The judge paused, letting it linger, then finally spoke. I find that Mr. Brown and Mrs. Brown presented false information to this court. The evidence shows these financial transactions were fraudulent. A sharp collective gasp swept through the room. They will be held accountable. Kody's shoulders slumped as his arms dropped to his sides, his head lowering. Robyn stared ahead, her mouth slightly open, but no words came. There was nothing left to say. Janelle took a slow breath, a quiet sense of justice settling over her. Across the table, Meri looked up at her. Their eyes met, sharing a moment that didn't need words. Through all this time, the truth had finally won. But the story didn't end there. Robyn Brown, once known as a key figure in a polygamous household on Sister Wives, had quietly transitioned into something very different. The plural marriage she once defended was gone. In its place was a far more traditional setup: one husband, one home, one primary marriage. She now lived in a sprawling $2.1 million house, dressed in vintage-style floral dresses, fully embracing life as a stay-at-home mother. She and Kody even wore matching David Yurman rings, symbols that felt far removed from the lifestyle they once promoted. Her home was filled with children, dolls, and the image of old-fashioned domestic life. Ironically, the woman who once stood firmly for plural marriage had become the picture of conventional tradition. Still, Robyn wasn't ready to let go. On television, she admitted that things weren't perfect. Sometimes things go wrong in paradise, she said, acknowledging her struggles with Kody. She confessed that they argued, even over small, petty things, but she remained determined to make it work. In many ways, Robyn had stepped into an old-school role, standing by her marriage no matter how heavy the cost, clinging to values from another era, even when they felt stifling. Even though Robyn has left behind some of her old passive-aggressive habits, like warning Kody that she'd feel disrespected if he ever married another wife, there's still something unmistakably old-fashioned about the way she chooses to live. In fact, there's a strong 1950s vibe to her lifestyle, one that many people, myself included, can find a bit suffocating. And that's worth talking about. The 1950s were not some golden, carefree era for everyone. While certain images, perfect homes, smiling housewives, neatly pressed suits, are often romanticized, real life back then was very different for many people. Racism was deeply entrenched. Homophobia was widespread and openly accepted. Society demanded conformity, and anyone who didn't fit the mold was pushed to the margins. That pressure eventually sparked change. People began pushing back. New ideals took root. The flower power movement emerged. Hippies rejected the leave it to beaver mentality, and a major cultural shift unfolded. Still, even as society was changing, there were women who actively chose to live out a 1950s-style fantasy. They leaned into the role of the traditional housewife, upgrading kitchen appliances, hosting vintage dinner parties with dishes like oysters Rockefeller or ham jello salad, and mixing up Manhattans for husbands who looked like they'd stepped out of an old cigarette ad. When Mad Men premiered, set in that world right before everything changed, it struck a nerve. And although Kody Brown from Sister Wives is no Don Draper, there are some interesting similarities, especially when it comes to power dynamics and fidelity. Now, to be fair, Kody isn't a carbon copy of the fictional ad executive. He hasn't lived the same life, and the situations are different. But as the patriarch of Sister Wives, Kody does occasionally show traits that echo that old-school male dominance. Key difference is that Robyn, for the most part, seems comfortable letting him lead. Don Draper grew up in a time when women had very little control over their lives. Kody was also raised in a deeply patriarchal environment, shaped by strict polygamous beliefs. And yet, Kody's attachment to Robyn is obvious. He's openly shown their matching rings, a visible symbol of their bond. That kind of loyalty helps explain why Kody and Robyn, who presents herself as ultra-feminine, seem to fit together despite her brief attempt at jewelry making on the side. Robyn appears satisfied with her role as the wife, free from the pressures of a typical 9-to-5 job. But the picture isn't as simple as it looks. When Robyn married Kody, reports show she had more than $33,000 in credit card debt, some of it from shopping at Victoria's Secret, a brand that, for years, struggled to broaden its definition of beauty. On the surface, Robyn's life looked luxurious. Underneath, her financial history tells a more complicated story. The traditional lifestyle can certainly look appealing, but it comes with real downsides. Robyn has admitted that being with Kody can be difficult. He's often irritable, resentful, and, by her own account, sometimes works against the relationship instead of for it. And here's the hard truth: the trad wife model only works when the man involved is a genuinely good partner. If he starts off charming but slowly turns controlling or cruel, the dynamic becomes unhealthy very fast. Dependence can turn into a trap. That said, Robyn isn't entirely financially dependent on Kody. She earns her own income through Sister Wives. Till money is a frequent source of tension. Kody prefers to save. Robyn prefers to spend, often arguing that spending makes life more comfortable and enjoyable. Janelle has previously claimed that during her spiritual marriage to Kody, he tightly controlled the family finances. If that pattern still exists, it's possible Robyn now needs his approval for certain purchases. And if that's true, she may feel more restricted than she'd like. Robyn has hinted that she wants more input in financial decisions, the same way she's voiced strong opinions about monogamy. It raises an important question. Is the traditional lifestyle giving her the fulfillment she expected? On paper, she has everything: children, fine jewelry, a large home, and that classic white picket fence image so many people dream about. Yet something still seems missing. And when you hear that she reportedly spent $70,000 on collectible dolls from Etsy, it makes you pause. It leaves many people, especially those following commentary like Without a Crystal Ball on Instagram, wondering if that purchase reflects comfort or something deeper she's trying to fill. She may simply be a devoted doll collector. That's certainly possible. But if her spending habits tell us anything, it's also possible that shopping has become a way for Robyn to fill an emotional gap. For many people, buying things becomes a coping mechanism, a way to soothe tension or distract from deeper unhappiness. Unfortunately, that pattern can easily lead to financial stress. According to Robyn Brown, speaking on her YouTube channel, Kody may be overspending in an effort to keep Robyn happy. If that's true, it raises another concern. Robyn doesn't just need gifts or reassurance, she needs a partner who is emotionally steady. Someone who can handle life's challenges without becoming easily angered, defensive, or overwhelmed. She needs more than a sharp suit and a familiar smile. In the trad wife model, Kody is supposed to be the calm, reliable head of the household. But by all accounts, he's falling short. His behavior has grown erratic, and there are clear signs of deep internal struggle. This isn't the cheerful, upbeat father figure viewers once knew. Robyn may have believed that moving into monogamy would make Kody happy, that he'd finally feel settled and fulfilled. Instead, the opposite seems to have happened. The loss of his son, Garrison Brown, has deeply shaken Kody. Grief like that cuts to the core and can change a person permanently, can distort perspective, fuel anger, and cloud judgment. Anyone carrying that level of pain is bound to struggle, and Kody is no exception. While the traditional lifestyle does offer certain comforts, it also comes with serious risks. Relying entirely on one person, especially someone who is emotionally unstable, can be dangerous. If the relationship breaks down, what does the other partner have left? Like any relationship model, the trad wife lifestyle is a gamble. It works beautifully for some, but it's clear that Robyn isn't as content as she once was. There's no right or wrong answer here, just an honest look at where things stand. At the same time, Janelle is moving in a very different direction. Known as the most hardworking and practical member of the family, she's taking a bold step forward with a new business venture called Tata Farms. She's ambitious, driven, and forging her own path, much like Peggy Olson from Mad Men. Janelle also shares qualities with Joan Harris, assertive, outspoken, and determined to stand on her own. With her new husband, David Woolley, she's building a life that feels intentional and self-directed. Meri, too, is starting fresh. Once quiet and naive, much like Mad Men's Trudy Campbell, she's emerging more confident and a bit edgier. Personal growth, self-reflection, and the support of a partner who genuinely values her have made all the difference. So yes, the parallels between Mad Men and Sister Wives are striking. And it's possible that Kody and Robyn are starting to realize their 1950s-style fantasy no longer matches the reality of their lives, or the dream they once had for Coyote Pass. They might find a way to make things work. Or they might not. Either way, this doesn't look like a storybook ending. With the emotional chaos of Sister Wives Season 19, filled with tense arguments and exposed cracks, it wouldn't be surprising if producers shifted focus in a future season. Highlighting Kody Brown in a potential Season 20 could inject some much-needed warmth and optimism into the storyline. For 19 seasons, Kody showcased life with 4 wives. Now, only Robyn remains, along with the lingering presence of past relationships that seem to haunt them both. Kody has claimed that his devotion to Robyn is what turned his other wives and children against him. But the situation is more complicated than that. Take Coyote Pass, for example. Despite Janelle and Meri wanting to sell the land and move on, Kody continues to hold control and refuses to make a firm decision. His hesitation only prolongs the conflict and keeps old wounds open. A reality show needs drama, of course. But when the arguments repeat themselves without resolution, the tension grows stale. Right now, Robyn and Kody appear to be at war with everyone, including each other. Kody rarely, if ever, takes responsibility for his actions. Time and again, he casts himself as the victim, especially around his long-suffering former wives and some of their children. This pattern suggests that he isn't evolving or maturing much at all. Kody Brown, on the other hand, tells a very different story. She's transformed her life completely and has never seemed happier. If she were to take a larger role on Sister Wives Season 20, she could bring a much-needed burst of optimism and good energy to the show. By now, Kody doesn't exactly shine as a positive role model for viewers. Kody, however, is a breath of fresh air, offering a compelling contrast to the tension and drama that Kody and Robyn tend to generate. She's courageous, having actively pursued her own happiness, and it's inspiring to watch. Alongside her husband David, she's even expanded their Airbnb business by subleasing a second property. Their first sublease, located in Moab, Utah, is breathtaking, surrounded by red cliffs and beautiful hiking trails. Even the usually stoic Garrison Brown shows warmth around his mom, highlighting the strong, healthy relationships Kody has nurtured with her children. Kody has the potential to breathe new life into Sister Wives. She could transform it from a series sometimes weighed down by stale conflict into a show full of hope, warmth, and vitality. She openly admits that fear once held her back, and in doing so, she reminds viewers that facing our own monsters, the fears and obstacles that threaten our peace and dreams, is both possible and rewarding. She is living proof of that. Meanwhile, Robyn and Kody may remain on the show, but their roles might naturally diminish. Shifting the focus could benefit everyone. Let's face it, how much longer can viewers watch the same arguments repeat, especially with unresolved issues like Coyote Pass still looming over them? Christine, by contrast, has the clarity and courage to lead with a fresh perspective. She has already made bold moves, like offering to sell her share of Coyote Pass for just $10 to close the chapter on past conflicts. For her, freedom and happiness are far more important than money. She embodies warmth, authenticity, and a sense of adventure, exactly what the show could use to shake off some of its long-standing feuds. Christine took a more central role. The show could explore a new kind of love, one rooted in bravery, hope, and real-life adventure. Kody, still bitter about the breakup of the Brown family, may never fully grasp that he played a key role in the family's fracturing, but Christine has clearly moved forward. Meanwhile, there's room for reconciliation and growth. Kody and Robyn could sort out their differences and approach the future with gratitude. They could return for a potential season 21, bringing a more balanced dynamic to the series. Producers might need to step in to guide this shift, as the cast currently seems stuck in neutral. Amid all this drama, technology is helping Janelle Brown manage her mental health and business ventures. Since leaving Kody and the polygamous Brown family in 2022, Janelle has been living in North Carolina, working to get her new business off the ground. Alongside her daughter, Madison Brown Bush, she's made a smart real estate investment. Season 19 of Sister Wives showed Janelle taking a bold stance. Talk more, argue less. She's channeling her energy into growth and forward momentum, proving that leaving the chaos behind can lead to real opportunity. It looks like Janelle is gearing up for the ongoing battle over Coyote Pass, and she's making sure she's armed with the right tools to handle it. Recently, she shared that she started using an infrared sauna to help decompress after especially stressful weeks. "This week has been a lot and my stress levels have been high," she admitted. Between launching a new business, managing life as a single woman, and navigating lingering disputes with Kody over her share of Coyote Pass, it's no wonder she's feeling the pressure. Janelle even posted a selfie on Instagram from the sauna, bathed in red and purple light, describing how the process helps reset her after everything on her plate. Along with her new venture with her daughter Maddie, she's also adjusting to family life as her granddaughter arrives, thanks to Maddie and her husband, Caleb. The household has just gotten busier, adding to Janelle's load. It's a smart move for Janelle to recognize her stress and take action to manage it. Health comes first, especially amid so many changes. She's already noticed major improvements from a detox she did earlier in the year. The sauna also helps her sleep more soundly, an essential part of her self-care routine. Growing up in a hectic household of 4 women and 14 children, Janelle knows a thing or two about stress. But now, with this new chapter of her life, she has more control and can approach challenges in healthier ways. Time spent in the sauna has become a cornerstone of her wellness routine, a small but vital way to maintain balance. Even with all her progress, self-care remains a work in progress. The ongoing conflicts with Kody over Coyote Pass continue to weigh heavily on her. Dealing with him must feel almost impossible at times, and if taking an extra half hour in the sauna helps her mentally prepare for that fight, then it's more than worth it. After all, this might just be the fight of her life. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates like this. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.